You're watching KREX News.
Hello and welcome to the KREX News Week in Review. I'm Chad Roderick. Now, starting off our weekly recap, West Springs Hospital announcing it will be closing its doors on March 10th. It's the only inpatient psychiatric hospital between Denver and Salt Lake City. So Kyle Kawamoto spoke with county leaders about what will happen next.
I think it's going to have a significant impact on mental health in the community.
As of Monday, the West Springs Hospital announced they will be closing their doors, leaving community members with the question of what next?
We are absolutely going to feel the effect, but we're going to continue to bring people together.
I spoke with Carrie Shabarami, who is the psychiatric nurse practitioner at Lifespan Psychiatry, and she says Lifespan is trying to prepare for what's in store for the future, even to the extent of having a full staff and being a 24-hour facility.
I've spoken to some people within St. Mary's to try to figure out how we can further collaborate. We already have collaborations in place with them, but the numbers we see are probably going to be more significant.
While this could affect local emergency rooms, Western Stoke now spoke with Art Smith, who is the Operations Division Chief at the Mesa County Sheriff's Office. He says deputies have a team which is called the Co-Response Team, which he says is a huge asset to the agency.
When they go out to those calls, many times they're able to help that person in mental health crisis and manage that person in the field rather than having to take that person for an involuntary mental health commitment.
The primary goal of that clinical and deputy team, the co-response team, is to stabilize individuals in crisis and connect them to the right community-based support.
We were already doing what we needed to with what tools we had available to us, and that follows the same no barriers to care philosophy, just trying to get patients seen.
Carrie tells me she believes there's actually far more individuals coming through, and they are looking to shoulder that load and help reduce the impact on the emergency rooms, law enforcement, and other providers.
This will be a tough time for them because they've committed their life to this work, and it's really hard when those things change. And so this impacts the patients, the caregivers, it impacts the community.
Kyle Kawamoto, KREX News.
As a reminder, Mine Springs Hospital's outpatient care will still be intact while the inpatient care system will be dissolved. Now, the Grand Junction Police Department made an arrest this week in relation to a car crash that sent 2 people to the hospital with serious injuries last month. 37-year-old Ragnar Crystal was arrested on 5 charges, including driving under the influence of alcohol, reckless driving, and vehicular assault. At the time of the crash, Crystal was taken to the hospital with serious injuries after his van rear-ended another car at a red light. The passenger of the other vehicle is still recovering from their injuries in the hospital. The case remains under investigation. And in other news, members of the Montrose County Board of Commissioners finally expressed their opposition to a proposed designation for the Dolores National Conservation Area this week. Kieran Nigro has more.
In a resolution passed earlier this week, the board raised concerns that the federal designation of the Dolores NCA would impose unnecessary restrictions on land use and management. Montrose County Commissioner Sean Pond tells me what the land is currently used for.
Everything. Right now there's no oil and gas exploration. There is some active uranium mining, some permits that are there. I believe, and I'm reaching back to a year of research, but there's like 63 ranching families that have cattle grazing allocations within that land. And it's open for outdoor recreation, from bikers to hikers to climbers, hang gliders, motorized and non-motorized. Right now in its current state, it protects the land and is open for the enjoyment of American citizens.
He also tells me if the land is conserved, the government can restrict what the land can be used for.
That's the federal government trying to restrict access, whether it be for industry, for cattle ranchers, grazing allocations, mining, or just the general public for outdoor recreation.
Pond says that normally, when we see government overreach, the regulations start light, but
over the course of time, they become more and more restrictive. That's the worry. If we're able to manage it as it is, protect with conservation in mind, I think that we can work together to keep this land open for multi-use for generations to come.
Pond tells me as the conversation continues, he will do everything in his power to help the people of his district.
I personally, as a member of this board, I'm going to stand my ground as long as I can, and whatever means that is, to make sure that the freedoms of my constituents in District 3 aren't victims to government overreach.
Kieran Nigro, KREX News.
While Montrose County Commissioners passed a resolution opposing designation of Dolores National Conservation Area, there are people who want it conserved, like members of the Protect the Dolores, a coalition of the conservation community and business groups who began pushing for monument status 2 years ago. And a Denver man is still missing near the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park after 2 weeks. He was last seen in the Montrose area on February 13th and hasn't been seen since. Timber Schumann reports.
On Monday, February 24th, the Black Canyon National Park Service sent out a press release stating a person has been missing since the 13th. 31-year-old Jordan Marsters is a Denver resident who traveled through Grand Junction on the 11th and into Montrose on the 12th. He was last accounted for at 7:20 in the morning on the 13th at the national park.
Now there's two separate sides to this park, the north side and the south side. The north side, the road is completely closed for winter, and the south side, the road is closed just past the visitor center behind me here, meaning most of the park, for cars at least, is not open.
We're actually from East Tennessee, from Knoxville. We heard about this lookout and we thought we'd stop here on the way back to the airport.
Charlie Hill tells me overall he feels safe in the park with the guardrails along the main lookout points, though conditions aren't great.
A little bit of an icy trail on the way down. You can be cautious and still things happen. So that's really a little sad. I do hope that that person is found and that they're all right.
Nathan Lumsden owns the Black Canyon Corner Store just a couple miles from the entrance. He recalls conditions on the 11th through the 13th to be even worse than now.
When he came through here, it would have been right around 10 to 15 degrees. Hopefully he wasn't car camping. Lots of people like to car camp this time of year because it's generally survivable, but at 11 degrees with the wind chill, I don't know if I'd even want to think about it.
A popular spot to car camp is on BLM land just next to the borders of the park, though the road is almost undrivable for most cars in these conditions. Marsters was driving a white Kia rental car with Texas plates TXH4349. I reached out both to Montrose County Sheriffs and National Park officials, though there's been no response.
Timber Schumann, KREX.
If you have any information, please call Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park at 970-249-1914. Now, in other news, a local retailer in Grand Junction prepares for its future closing. Joanne Fabric and Craft stores will be shutting down nationwide, including the branch inside Mesa Mall. Joanne, who has been in business for over 80 years, cited consumer demand and inventory shortage as the reason behind its closing. We caught up with a customer in passing who just learned of the store's closure.
I'm stunned. I am so disappointed. It's like, what am I gonna do? I mean, there's just, the fabric stores are few and far between, and especially something like this that has everything I need in one place. I live in Eagle, so there was a store in Glenwood, and they closed some years ago, and I've managed to come this way and stock up and get supplies and be ready. But now I don't know what I'm going to do.
According to the retailer, dates for store closures will be posted as soon as possible, but officials say it will likely take a number of weeks to complete their final sales. And Mesa County Public Health announced it's taking applications for residential burn permits. As of March 1st, the open burn season begins in Mesa County, but you will need to fill out a residential burn permit application. According to Mesa County officials, both the city and county will be starting the season as of March 1st. For the county, it will run until May 31st, while the city permits will run until April 30th. You can find more information on the Mesa County website. A few years ago, the Dos Rios Park opened its sidewalks to the community, and this week a groundbreaking ceremony took place for the new Confluence Center. Kyle Kawamoto was in attendance and has more.
3, 2, 1, dig the dirt!
Community members and officials from the city and state legislators were in attendance on Wednesday for the celebration.
We started moving dirt this month, and so we're celebrating this momentous kind of first phase of this exciting building, a nonprofit building that's going to house 6 different nonprofits that'll work on land and water, science and education issues in our community.
The new building will house 6 local nonprofits that have similar goals of teaching kids about our land and water. For example, one nonprofit, the Stream Preschool, offers more than just stream education.
Well, we're actually naming it the Stream. Science, Technology, Rivers, Engineering, Art, and Math in the Stream Preschool will be growing the next era of hydrologists and geologists and economists that are here to help us protect this valuable resource that we have in our backyard.
While this may be a pile of dirt behind me, this place will soon have a building of knowledge for the next generation in Grand Junction.
I really think this is something special because we're working so hard towards similar missions. So we're already collaborating. So to be able to be in one building and to be able to work together to make the next generation of leaders.
And the best part about the center is naming it for what Junction is based off of.
There's a lot to be excited about with the Confluence Center, and I think it's an opportunity for us to come together as a community to celebrate who we are, being part of a community that was built around a river, and we should be looking for ways to care for it and incorporate it into our future.
We're a little over $5 million raised. I wish I had more money.
Western Slope now spoke with Joe Higgins, who was one of the major donors in this new building. Joe tells me giving back to the future generation is something he wants to do.
But the bottom line is I do try to support things in the community that I think make a difference and make us a stronger and a better community.
And that does it for the KREX News Week in Review. Make sure to tune back in every Friday for a recap of this week's headlines.